Ann went on Fox News the other day to talk to Sean Hannity, and I think that the conversation is really telling. Now, Ann has probably said in her life -6 things that are true, but she ended up getting into a debate with Hannity where, I know this is going to blow everybody's mind, she was unquestionably right. Now, let's play a little piece of the clip here so that you guys get an idea of what I'm talking about, and then we'll come back and break it down.
The Democrats, how do they vote against that? We can turn the tables on them. Look, that whole war on women chit-chat, that campaign that was being waged against Republicans, it was meaningless until Todd Aiken. You give them one thing to hang their hat on, and if Republicans block tax cuts in order to, as the media will portray it,
let me say one last thing to you.
Save tax cuts.
There comes a point in time when you got to ask yourself, when are you going to fight? And you're telling me that they should put their media concerns and the PR ramifications of this above their principles. We didn't elect them to raise rates on
exactly.
Hang on a second. We didn't elect them to raise rates on anybody. Well,
you're going to lose.
Sometimes on principle, you got to stand and educate the country. The principle is
we want to raise taxes on everyone.
Reform entitlements, reform the tax code.
Yeah. They'll be pushing all that, and they'll go to the Senate and we'll lose. The question is, are they going to raise taxes on everyone, or are they going to allow Obama's idea of raising taxes on just the job creators?
If we're going to govern based on polls and perception, we're going to lose always.
No, you say.
Always. The media will always side with the Democrats and the liberals.
No, of course they will, but there are some things where you are handing a gift to the media, where there is something to the point they're making. And moreover, the point is standing on principle. If they could win, that would be one thing.
We should have just elected Democrats to the House then. They might as well have the whole government and let them take the responsibility for their failure.
We can raise taxes on Hollywood, New York, California, and Warren Buffett.
We agree on that, but not tax rates. You're wrong.
They're going to lose.
Okay, then if they lose, you're saying the PR war, but they have the power to stop the president. They have the power of the purse. They should use their constitutional authority.
If they block tax hikes on as they call the top 2 income earners, not the rich, then taxes go up for everyone. How is that winning? That isn't winning. Taxes go up for everyone. We're against tax hikes. And just make sure the media cannot pin the next 4 years of the economy on the Republicans.
You are giving in.
Look, we lost the Senate. We lost the presidency. We have to win in 2 years. We have to win in 4 years. And we can as long as Republicans.
Oh, so now we got sucking up to the media and hoping they like us. And
but just don't give in on a particular stereotype about Republicans. War on women, Todd Aiken, party of the rich, tax cuts for their rich friends.
And Coulter. Good to see you.
Oh my God. I love that, man. Oh, I love that for so many reasons. Okay, so let's break this down. Here are their 2 positions. What Ann Coulter is saying is, look, Sean, here are our options as Republicans, right? We either extend the tax cuts for 98% of Americans, and we can say Republicans are in favor of tax cuts because you would be voting to extend tax cuts, or because President Obama and President Obama's the president, the Democrats have the Senate, right? We could end up raising taxes on everybody because we want to hold hostage the 98% of Americans to keep tax cuts on the top 2% of Americans. And I love Sean Hannity in that clip, man. There is not a logical bone in that man's body. He just doesn't get it. So you want to cave to the Democrats. So you want to cave to the Democrats. Oh, so why don't you go ahead and give them everything? Yeah, but Sean, wait a second. Do you agree with tax cuts or do you not agree with tax cuts? Right? That's the question. And he's a Republican, so he's got to say yeah, right? And so then you have to explain to him, Sean, look, the question is either are we going to have tax cuts for 98% of Americans, or are we going to have tax cuts for no Americans? That's the question being posed to you. There's no other option, friend. I hate to break it to you. Right? But he doesn't get it. He's amazing. Listen to some of his quotes. You heard it yourself, but... when are you going to fight? Talking about the Republicans. Right, because that's the Republicans' problems. They always just give in to President Obama. Oh, President Obama, here. What the fuck is wrong with you? No. No, that's not, they've never done that. the party of no. They are notoriously obstructionist. They held a press conference after President Obama got elected the first time, and they said, yeah, here's our strategy. Making sure he doesn't get a second term. So, no, we're not going to put Americans first. No, we're not going to try to compromise. We're going to try to get this guy out of office. Plain and simple. Right? And now their goal is to make sure there's no Democratic successes because they don't want the Democrats to win the next election. That's what Republicans do. They never give in. He says, oh, we didn't elect them to raise taxes. You didn't even elect them! They lost the election! This guy's incredible, man. This guy's absolutely nuts. So the Democrats win the Senate. The Democrats win the presidency in a landslide with 332 electoral votes. And the Democrats won the House too, by the way. They had more net votes than the Republicans did. The only reasons the Republicans were able to maintain it was because of redistricting. So Republicans weren't elected. It's clear that the American majority agrees with the Democrats. That's not debatable. And then, if we're going to govern on polls, we're going to lose, he says. Sean Hannity talking about the Republicans. No, governing on poll is the definition of democracy. What's the alternative? Take what the public says and say, oh yeah, that's nice. I'm going to do the exact opposite. Yeah, here's what's going to happen if you do that. You'll never be elected ever again. I mean, this guy is just a dumbass. There's no way around it. It's incredible where he can do a segment and he could talk for, a whole 10 minutes straight. And there's not a strain of truth in what he's saying. Not a single little smidgen of, oh, okay, well, at least there's a little kernel of truth. Nothing. Nothing. But for once in her life, you gotta give credit to Coulter there, man. I mean, obviously she's wrong about the war on women thing. There's a trillion examples of how there's actually a war on women being waged. Never mind on, Todd Aiken's comments, etc., right? But she's right. She's saying, yeah, of course you want to extend the tax cuts for 98% of Americans. Where's the debate? Hannity is just such a fucking blockhead, man. Nothing gets into that thing. It's a steel trap that only allows in Drudge Report talking points.